Hello, I'm Chris.
And I'm Matthew.
Welcome to the Still Wondering podcast.
We are two brothers in our 30s trying to figure life out. So come and join us for a wonder. Hello and welcome to episode 25 of the Still Wondering podcast. And today
we're learning how to count because if you saw our video from last week, that was episode 23 of the Still Wondering podcast, and I think there's probably
we'll get used to the mic as well.
25 episodes in of it talking to the mic.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, don't talk over there.
No, or over there,
Or over there,
over here.
Somehow, when we hit 20, we it was too big a number, and we lost count.
Yeah.
So this is episode 25,
And we did count them.
Yeah.
1, 2, 4.
It's rudimentary
Very
of
carefully.
things. So when you get to your 30s, the ability to count may start to suffer, and that's the first thing you'll learn in today's episode.
Absolutely. So yeah, Louie C.K.
Yeah, we've been out yet again.
I know. We've been going out a lot, haven't we?
We have. I mean, it's very decadent.
It is.
Went back down to the nation's capital,
London.
to the Big Smoke, Hammersmith Apollo, and we saw Louie C.K. And it seemed to me like, because I didn't realise this till looking afterwards, he had a gig at the Wembley Arena the night after. This was like a warm-up show, right?
Yeah. I'm wondering whether he approached that differently as a result.
Yeah.
Like, it was, this is a bit...
Yeah.
Tomorrow is the proper one.
Yeah.
I hope it wasn't like that. It was still a great show.
I kind of hope not, but then it made sense at the ending for me. And this is like a weird way to talk about a show as kind of like a review of a show. But at the end of his gig, he did like his main set and come on to do the encore.
Yeah.
But he basically had his like book of notes of jokes, and was like kind of just like flicking through, going, "This would be fun." I mean, he made it funny, the whole thing of it being funny. So it was still fantastic, but. It did occur to me. Did he do that at Wembley the next night?
Well, it was the encore.
Yeah, it was the encore, yeah.
Because it did... I was wondering how long we're going to sustain the standing ovation and will he come back on? Because it did sustain for quite a while.
Yeah.
And so he did come back on.
Maybe, but then you'd expect him to do an encore. That wouldn't be a surprise. Like, oh, they want me to do an encore? What?
I mean, he kept it going for a while. I don't know. He kept it going for a while, is what I'm saying. Maybe he's just milking it.
Yeah, maybe.
How much am I really worth? I really need to validate my ego right now.
Yeah. How much are those tickets?
Yeah, they're starting to sit down. Right, quickly get out there.
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah, they're losing their momentum.
Yeah. That is one tip, actually, for anyone that goes to see a show in London. Do hang around, because sometimes, often there's something that happens after.
Yeah.
Theatre shows is a different story, but if you're watching a stand-up or someone that has the ability to come on and do an encore, they tend to do it. I remember seeing an Audi. He went off stage, standing ovation, lasted quite a while. A lot of people left. Well, I say a lot of people left. A number of people were leaving to try and get ahead of the crowds, and he came back on and did another set.
Wow.
I think from memory. So it's worth hanging around.
Good.
Sure.
Do we recommend Louie C.K. to the live viewer? The live viewer.
Yeah, I like the show. I came away from it. I'd laughed lots, and it was a good show. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I came away knowing, you get that feeling where you've laughed a lot and you kind of got that pain.
Like the pain.
Was that just me? Maybe it's an age thing as well. But you hurt.
But your pancreas starts to ache.
I felt too much happiness tonight, and I'm in too much pain from that happiness. That's kind of, I had that feeling. So I'd obviously laughed a lot. I mean, the guy's so funny, and I was thinking about it afterwards, and how would I describe how he does his humour? And I find it a little bit hard to describe. Kind of on paper, it almost shouldn't work. I've
watched it. I mean, literally all I do, like for the last few months, has been watching Bill Burr and Louie C.K. just a lot. Before I go to sleep, or if I'm in the middle of doing something on my laptop, I'll just have it in the background. And both of them, I like both of them. And I think it's because they have a similar approach. It's just them talking. It's what it feels like. It's just them going through an idea, and then there'll be like a comment which is like, and I want to be a good person, and then suddenly they're into a new bit about being a good person, and it feels very like that just happened organically and naturally, but it was all part of the plan. And it's very conversational, organic way of talking, and both of them. I get the feeling either they don't use the same words to say the transitions of the joke, or they intentionally slip up on a few words to make you feel like this is just being said for the first time. We know it's not, but it gives your brain this impression of there's something sparky about this because it's the phrasing, and you tripped over a word there, and there's these moments where you're kind of going, he's like, oh, what's that person's name? They know what their name is. They're just waiting for someone to shout it out, but they're just sort of doing this thing to get you.
It's relatability, isn't it? I think you've hit the nail on the head there, actually, with both of those. But you got me into these guys. I had a bit of I wouldn't call it prejudice as such, but a slight sort of blind spot towards a lot of American comedian. I mean, I loved Bill Hicks when I was a teenager, and there's sort of 2 or 3 others that have punched through into my consciousness. But I've always just seen the sort of them when they're doing their kind of vitriol diatribe type thing, and I kind of go, oh, that's all quite loud and American. Particularly Bill Burr, actually. I really didn't. First impression of him was like, that seems like a guy that shouts a lot. Don't think I like that. Although I do like other comedians that do that. I should have given him a chance. But sit down and watching it, and both of them clearly incredibly intelligent, incredibly well crafted comedians. So now I'm thoroughly converted to stateside comedy. Nail on the head, very relatable. You almost feel like instead of being in the Hammersmith Apollo, which is where we saw Louie, you could be in the pub. You could be in a pub gig
having a conversation.
And
it's just something you want to have a beer with.
Exactly, definitely. I mean, I didn't. We had decent seats in that, but I wasn't wearing my glasses, and
it's a perfect thing for going to the theatre. Glasses? Nah.
Why not?
They might get stolen in London.
I need to focus on.
We're going to Hammersmith, for God's sake.
Yes, I'm not bringing my glasses.
The underground.
I mean, they were buy one get one free. I seem to remember, but still, there's a monetary value attached.
If you're cross-eyed, you get 4. That's handy.
I thought, well, I'm going to watch a person on a stage that's reasonably far away. I won't bring my glasses. And he kind of reminded me on Dad, like when he came on. He's sort of that age. I don't know how old he is. 50s. Yeah, 50s, 60s. So
I think
not
it's
far off
mid-50s.
Dad age. Pretty much bald.
Not in shape.
Yeah. So from far away without my glasses, kind of look like Dad. Is that Dad? No. Dad's not American.
Or doing shows at the Hammersmith. Sometimes Dad does say, I'm doing something, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. So maybe
he is touring the world
as a really first-rate comedian.
Yeah, top-notch Netflix. Well, no, not Netflix approved anymore, is he, Louie C.K? But I'm sure Dad would be if he were to venture into the world of stand-up.
For sure.
Which, Dad, if you're watching this,
do it.
Go for it.
Yeah.
You have our full support.
For sure.
Yeah.
100%.
It'd be good as well, I reckon, actually.
Yeah.
But anyway, where are we at? Hammersmith Apollo. What a great venue. I've never been there before. It's quite impressive building, I thought, apart from the seats.
Oh, yeah, the seats were crammed, weren't they?
Yeah.
Like shoulder to shoulder.
Really, and there was quite a big guy to my right as well, so it was a bit... But he's, it's all right. It's a bit intimate.
The one thing that did annoy me actually was throughout the show, they had standing people at the back, so there was seating at the back with like standing positions. I assume they just sold more tickets. That's more money for Louie, I guess. Fair enough, Louie. But the doors kept on opening over to my left side, so there was like this panel of light that would illuminate half of the wall in the theatre if you're at the back seats where we were. That got a little bit irritating, and then somebody next to me hopped on their phone once or twice, and I was just like, oh no. I hate when people do this.
What were they doing? Were they trying to film it?
No, they weren't trying to film it, but they were just the illumination of their phone. It just catches your eye and it pulls you out of
the moment.
Of the moment.
Totally.
You kind of want the show to suspend your disbelief, and then when something wakes you up from that, it's like, oh no, I want to get back into it again. Yeah. So I had to kind of just ignore that and just focus on what was happening. But that's part of the reason why I'm more than happy to spend money on front row seats, because you don't get the distraction, and also people getting up to go for a piss. Constantly throughout the entire show.
Irritating. And if we had had a seat that was at the front of one of those sections, because the toilet's kind of off to the side in the middle.
Yeah.
And it was an almost constant stream.
It was.
People
there was no
that couldn't hold their bladder for literally an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
just see it out. Don't drink so many pints before you know you've got to sit down and watch comedy.
I'm just surprised Louis didn't rip into it.
I know, because that must be distracting for him to see an almost constant stream of people.
It was constant. I don't think there was a moment where everyone was sat down and no one was moving.
Yeah.
I think there was constantly somebody getting up to go for a wee.
Yeah. I think I do not remember that from years gone by. And I really don't want to sound like an old fart here, but I just remember going to comedy shows and people were able to hold their bladder. Mostly, the odd ones or twos, but to have that many people just like get 20 minutes in and go, oh, I need a wee. Wow, how did that happen? Was it the 5 pints you drank before the gig?
Yeah. Yeah. So the bar was packed as well. I think we started late.
Yeah.
The bar was packed. And that's another thing I don't understand, right? And I understand that the theatre wants to make money on drink, fine. But if you want the show to start on time, the one thing you need to do, the only thing you need to do, is close the bar.
Close the bar. There's nowhere else to go.
There's nothing else you need to do.
Yeah.
Just close the bar.
Yes.
And people will take their seats, and then the show happens on time, then the interval. You do the same thing. You sell all the drinks, then you close the fucking bar.
Yeah. And if it was 15 minutes before the show starts, people might use that time to assess the sort of feedback they're getting from their bladder.
Yeah, maybe I should go now.
15 minutes. Maybe, there's a show starting. The show requires... if I'm to enjoy the show that I paid a lot of money for, I need to be sat watching it. Yet I've got this muscular sort of sack in me, which, as it fills up,
puts pressure on my dick.
And and it's uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable. And it's something you know about from childhood. Yet for some reason, when you're at the Hammersmith Apollo watching Louie C.K, you completely ignore it, wait for the show to start, and then go for a bit.
Oh, there's that pressure.
Who knew?
Yeah.
So that was so facetious, but that did wind me up.
Yeah.
Apart from that, it really was a great show.
I was going to say we're in our 30s, but all we're doing is moaning about like the format of the show. The actual content. It's like, it was good. But I tell you what, those seats were uncomfortable. And people kept on getting up.
How much did you pay for those jelly babies, by the way?
Oh, the wine gums.
Well, wine gums. Was it literally like £5 for a bag of wine gums?
I don't know how much it was. It was £30 for 2 double... Your face! You're like wincing.
Sorry, I'm just in a little sweat at the thought of £30.
It was £30 on 2 double gins and a bag of wine gums.
I'm just saying.
Which on reflection, that is quite expensive, isn't it? I remember you wincing at it. You were like, oh. And I said, do you want some wine gums? You were like, nah, I'm alright.
No.
I was like, I want them. So I'm gonna get them.
I'm going to get them. Good for you if you want them and you're prepared to pay.
That was another thing as well. I said, do you want a double? And you sort of looked at me and went, yeah, well, why then? You sort of like, oh, we're out. Let's do it.
We're out. Oh my God. This is smashing the boundaries of my life.
Well, when you're out, right? It's just one of those things.
It was a very nice gin we had.
Yeah, it's alright.
Yeah, although the guy was incredibly slow.
Oh, do you know what? I was looking at the staff and I thought, this guy, they can't all be this fast.
Yeah.
Or this slow, should I say, because it was painful.
It really was.
And he couldn't understand what I was saying to begin with either.
He didn't know what he was doing. And then he got told off because he didn't replenish the wine gums at the back of the...
He didn't know where they were, yeah.
Nah.
So I got a wet bag. It was all wet. It's like the display one. It's covered in spilt Span Zambuca or something. And the dispenser wasn't working, do you remember?
Oh, God.
He was pushing it up going, oh, fucking thing. You have to give it a shake until letting it go.
It's like you're either getting no gin or you're getting a triple. Not sure what's happening here.
Yeah. I was looking at it going, you wait for that fucker to fill up. I don't care how flustered you are. I'm paying £15 for that drink.
That was never in danger. He was going nowhere near fast enough.
Yeah. No. But yeah, do you know what? I can't remember any of the show. Any of the content. I just remember it was fun.
I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean. I remember like little snippets, but I don't always remember the context or the setup. But I just remember, there's that bit and that was really funny. Yeah, I was talking about, I don't know, kicking a child or something.
That bit made me laugh.
I was laughing so much. Which sounds sinister, but of course, Louie C.K. If you haven't watched him, go watch him. He will set it up so that when he starts talking about kicking a child, it is hilarious and not disturbing in any way.
Yeah, I mean, it's a soundbite.
Yeah.
Kicking children. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah.
Like, what? What the fuck? it is funny when he puts it in the story.
Yeah.
We're not
No.
bad people.
No.
And if we are, there were 2,500 of us all sat in the same theatre.
Yeah.
Laughing.
For those that were able to
Yeah.
hold them.
Hold their head, yeah. Those in the bathroom weren't laughing. But yeah, no, the show was good. I liked it. Big fan of Louie. I'm glad I got the tickets. It was a fun night out as well.
Yeah, it was fun. It was really good. Me and Matt grew up. Me and Matt? Who am I talking to? We grew up.
We did.
We grew up just loving stand-up comedy. I think our parents watched it.
It was sitcoms, I think, which I remember Friday night television when it was actually good. It was like...
it was good.
Back in my day.
It was sitcoms, like game shows, and people... Like, comedy was very much at the centre of all of that. It was British television, isn't it?
Yeah, I remember us all sat there watching Billy Connolly and Dad laughing, just crying with laughter, you know, and I could just about get it, and you were probably not interested at all because
I was probably too young.
Probably too young at that time. And then a bit later, I don't know, Billy Connolly, there's quite a lot of swearing in that. For some reason, we had a household when we were younger, no swearing. That was quite strict.
Yeah.
But yet, we were allowed little snippets of...
We were given a taster of things.
Yeah.
To sip a dad's beer.
Yeah.
We could watch Terminator.
A little bit of that, but we're not going to tell you what everything means.
Yeah.
You'll find out when you're older. A little bit of Eddie Izzard as well. That was one.
Mm-hmm.
So there was definitely stand-up kind of woven in there. We've always loved it, haven't we?
Yeah. We're not of the age of like the young ones, for example.
Yeah.
That is not our era, but we grew up on it.
Yes, because Uncle Bob bought us the videos. Or gave us the videos.
The young ones?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
When we were young children, he gave us videos of the young ones.
I didn't know that was Bob.
Yeah, it was Uncle Bob.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
See if he remembers it.
Yeah.
We'll ask him, won't we? It was obviously his attempt to make sure that was part of our education.
Yeah. Which paid off.
Absolutely. I mean, just absolute disciple of Rick Mail, Ed Edmondson.
I was actually
Nigel
upset
Payne,
the day he passed away.
I was.
And I've never really felt that for a celebrity. But I thought, oh man, that really fucking sucks.
Completely agree. Most celebrities come and go, and I kind of go, great. Appreciate what they contributed, but I don't feel much. Rick Mail, I really did, because he's just been a cornerstone for so much of the comedy we've consumed, and
I think he probably
became our comedy, became our sense of humour, you know?
Yeah. It's ridiculousness and silliness.
Sinless ridiculousness.
Yeah.
Bit naughty.
Yeah. Drop Dead Fred.
Yeah.
Bottom.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Loads of stuff. Yeah, stand-up comedy though. I think as we were growing up, I remember watching Live at the Apollo. When I get back from school, I think I was in secondary school at this point, and we'd watch Live at the Apollo. And that was kind of just part of our like routine.
Yeah.
Get home, dinner's about to be ready, we'll chuck a Live at the Apollo on until Mum would have to switch it to the news.
Yeah, of course.
Which was followed by The Simpsons, I believe.
Yeah.
That was our like little routine. I remember watching. There was one stand-up in particular. It was Marcus Bridgestock.
Oh yeah.
And the first, I think 3 or 4 times, literally tears of laughter. I mean, he just got it.
Yeah.
Tears of laughter watching that act. I've tried to recreate the moment and watching it back. It's just not as funny. The first 3 times, it's just like, bah, bah. It's just so funny. And the cool thing was, a friend of mine's called Adam Bloom, who's a stand-up comic in the UK. He does a lot of writing. He's got I think it was called a Clubhouse, when that was a thing over COVID.
Oh, yeah.
Ended up speaking with Marcus Bridgestock.
Oh,
like just on the same. I think I sent you a screenshot. I think.
Yeah, you did.
I was just like, this is the coolest thing ever. Like I'm speaking to. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're talking about performance or something like that, entertainment. It's an interesting conversation. Had some interesting thoughts.
Yeah.
I can't remember any of them, but I was just like, that's really fucking cool.
Yeah.
Like you made me laugh the shit out of myself. Like multiple times.
Stuff that came from your head and out of your mouth made me cry.
Yeah.
With laughter. That's amazing.
I think the Live at the Apollo was kind of like a great place to discover new comics and people coming through and following them. And then you did a stand-up comedy course.
I did. I always
How long ago was that now?
Oh man. Oh, it's got to be what?
10?
10, to 15 years ago, I think.
Was it really that long ago?
When was I doing it? I was doing it around the time I was coming towards the end of my degree. So it was around 2012, 2013.
That's like 10 years ago.
So I did it for about a year. I had always, ever since I was a kid, I had this itch of like, I'd love to be able to do that. I was so into stand-up comedy. And it was always an itch. It was like, I'd love to be able to do that. I'd love to have the confidence to be able to do that, but also to be able to put jokes together creatively in the hope that people would respond to them, you know? And eventually I just thought, I had one of those, life's too short, I'll just scratch the itch.
Just suck it.
But me being me, of course, I need to do it with a certain sort of controlled and measured way. No wild abandon of turning up at an open mic and just standing there and hoping funny stuff comes. Like, no, that's not me. So I did like a little 2-day thing down in London. A guy called Harry Dednam, I think his name was, professional comedian, who really just went from basics. Like, when you're walking on stage, there's a better way to do it and a worse way to do it, and he really focused on impact. Yeah, he was like, his goal in those 2 days was just to give you that confidence. You could go up with something like a few minutes and be able to deliver it in a way that would have impact. So that was invaluable, really. That was excellent. And they did a little showcase thing at the place in Greenwich. What's it called? It's really famous.
Rope?
No. It's gone. It's in Greenwich. Comedy fans will know it. It slipped my mind. And then I did about 12 to 15 ones after that, over the months afterwards, and I had a great little group of kind of people that I saw along the way and made friends with, and kind of all on this journey, packed into a car to Watford or Northampton, and you'd get 5 minutes, that's all you get. Some of them were great, some of them were not so great, but it was just in terms of self-confidence and kind of that whole feel the fear and do it anyway. It was amazing. Definitely pushed my growth and gave me that sort of, I can do that. That's okay. Nothing bad happened. Okay, joke didn't land. So what? Some of them did, some of them didn't.
I thought, in comparison to a lot of the other acts, when I watched you perform, you were one of the better ones.
Oh, thank you.
Because they always tend to do it in an order. You kind of get your 3 minute, your 5 minute, 10 minute, and then like 15 or half an hour. And I always felt that yours was a bit more well put together, and some of them were just a bit kind of sloppy and like having a go and just kind of.
Oh yeah.
And I respect them all, because I did a few stand up nights, but I was kind of doing magic and comedy. I was still hiding behind the tricks.
Yeah.
I feel, and they were good fun, but I didn't really properly experience stand-up comedy, because that is just, I'm going to go with my words and my thoughts and just pray that people get it and laugh.
Yeah.
And that's too scary for me. I think that and singing are the two things where I'm like, this is where you're just putting you
are entirely
and that is just you
exposed
on stage. If they don't get it, that's just the end. If they don't like you singing, they don't like you singing.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Most people decide if they like you within seconds. The minute you come onto the stage, they're making decisions about whether they're going to like you or not, and how they'll be primed then. There's a lot of pressure there.
We did a gong show, didn't you?
I did do a gong show. Oh, that was probably the best experience, although not the best gig, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It was in Braintree. It was in a big hall in Braintree, and it was.
I think we should really explain what a gong show is.
Absolutely. Gong show. So basically, is where you invited on. You do up to 5 minutes, but if the crowd don't like something, they let you know by booing. Well, at first it was raise your hands. Anyway, if they don't like you, get gonged off, and then you have to finish, and that's it, you're out. But anyone that makes it through to like the full 5 minutes or whatever, then at the end they do a cheer off, and whoever they like the best gets a drink or something like that.
For the trauma, what do you get? You get a drink?
Yeah, I can't remember what you got.
Well, the prices it's worth it, isn't it?
I never got that far. I only did the one gong show in Braintree. It's in this hall, and they must have had like 30 acts on that night for this gong show.
Jeez.
And the compere was sort of a professional guy. It was quite a big space. I'd say there were a good couple of hundred people there. It was a reasonable sized space, and it was like a night out in Essex. The crowd were like your only way is Essexy, prim, sitting outside thinking, I don't know if they're going to like me. I got my check shirt on. I'm going to open by saying I look like, Claire Balding crossed with James Corden or something like that. And it was so scary. The MC was not satisfied that the crowd were being brutal enough. And so for the first half an hour, the first few acts, he was like, look, you guys need to, step it up here. If you don't like a joke, you boo, you shout, you jeer. I was on quite late in the show.
Shit.
It was just getting. I was sat next to Kevin Connolly, a fantastic Scottish guy that we did some gigs together.
Yeah.
And we were just sat there going, this is horrible. We're going to get mutilated. Absolutely mutilated. I think Kevin went on before me. He did okay. I think he got to about 3 minutes. And
That's
then
solid.
The crowd turned on him. Because the crowd were primed to turn as soon as there was a slither of vulnerability.
Right.
They were primed to then attack. And so it came to me, and I don't know if I've ever been so nervous in my life, but you just have to do it. You have to walk towards the stage, take the microphone.
Shaking.
And then, I looked up and there's this expectation.
The dog on a chain.
He's like a dog on a chain. And I delivered the first line, and it went off like laughter, like big laugh. And I was like, yeah,
I made it this far. Stay composed. Stay composed.
Like, next line. There's only 4 minutes and 50 seconds to go. And I did like 2, 3, 4 lines, and it still got really good laughs. I'm like, yeah, this is going really well. And then it got to a change of bit. I was like, I've done that bit. Change of bit. That was it. Gone. Boom.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
There was the vulnerability.
Shit.
Gone within seconds.
That's a real observation though. From one bit to another, it shows how important those transitions are.
Absolutely.
I assume that's a way of getting a really tight set.
Yeah.
As opposed to doing shitloads of gong shows.
This is the weird, and this shows the power of comedy actually, because the guy that won that night, I think Gary Grubb, his name was. It was a very good set, but you could see everyone that was going up once it started getting like this was trying to be fast, quick, dirty. The sleazier the better, and all that sort of thing. But they were all getting gonged off. The guy that won was deadpan, was one-liners delivered quite slowly, and that just shows how powerful.
So he managed to change the pace.
Did it very well. I think he was on a little bit earlier in the night, I seem to remember, which might have helped him a little bit.
Sure.
I felt bad though. Some people had travelled, half the length of the country to do this gong show. I think the prize might have been better than a drink actually. It was attracting, and they were pissed off because some of them had done 20 seconds on stage and then had to get the train back to Leeds. Oh yeah.
Well, you should have been better, son.
Well, yeah. There was a guy there, Simon something, and he had a very quirky offbeat act that I had seen him do about a week before in Cambridge on a gig I was doing, and it tore the house down. He stole the show. He stole the night. It just worked with the audience that were there. This quirky offbeat, weird humour. Again, 20 seconds he lasted because the crowd were like, I don't get it.
Don't get it.
And boo.
Wow.
Just shows how it can flip.
Ugh. Brutal.
I highly recommend it. If you've never done it, give it a go. But do get yourself organised with punch. Yeah, do actually
give yourself an advantage.
Punchlines. Yeah, think about where your laughs are. Don't. I see a lot of people crumble because they've obviously built up all this nervous energy to go on stage, but not really prepared anything. They just thought, I'm funny with my mates, so if I just stand there with a microphone, I'll just start being funny with her. It doesn't.
That takes balls, man.
It doesn't really work like that.
Not only does it not work, to be able to get to the point where you go, I think I might just pick up a microphone and try and be that is so foreign to my brain because being a magician, I need to learn the tricks, then perform the tricks, and there's preparation involved. I know where it's going. Whereas just to go, I'm funny. What are you doing?
Yeah.
That is just
massive.
Literally lamb to the slaughter stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck. And some comedians, they talk about that, don't they? Early on in their career, they just tried to be funny, and they knew they weren't. And there was no resource, there was no YouTube, there was no books. It was just right. I've got to watch other comedians try and be funny, and then I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
So, oh my god,
that's right.
That's a learning curve, isn't it?
Yeah. And particularly if you're not going to follow the mould of what's come before you, if you want to do something that's different and approaches comedy in a different way, you're going to have a hard slog.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've been really getting into a guy called Stuart Lee. He's a British comedian, well known, but never really kind of... I don't know if he's going to be able to do like Wembley Arena. I'm not quite sure.
He's got quite a particular crowd.
Yeah, he's very, very left in terms of political. He wears his political allegiances on his sleeve. Very, very kind of left, and he was part of the sort of 1990s alternative comedy, sort of late 80s, 90s, I think, alternative comedy. I think he's an incredibly funny person, but he's quite an acquired taste.
Yeah, it's almost like a meta comedy, isn't it?
Meta comedy. He deconstructs the comedy as he does it, and then makes the deconstruction funny.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
I've watched him before, and I thought he was all right. And you put me onto a couple of his new specials, and I got about 20 minutes in, and I was like, I'm just not feeling it.
No,
it was either because it's such a difference from what I have been watching.
Oh yeah.
Or I just need to be around other people that are watching it, and I can kind of get into it. But I just couldn't. It wasn't drawing me in.
Yeah.
Just on that note, I think the other thing that Louie C.K. and Bill Burr both do is they're not telling jokes. There's no kind of clear setup. It's just, here's my opinion on something and my thoughts, and then here's my thoughts on that, and that's a funny thought to have.
Yeah.
And so they're kind of dragging you along their thought process rather than saying da 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 da.
Yeah.
That's not how they work. It's very kind of and another thing is they both build characters. So they have I don't know, like Bill Burr has his like wife voice.
Yes, he has a wife voice and a kind of liberal snowflakey voice he does.
He's
sort of, American boy.
Fuck yeah, America. He's just playing these characters.
Yeah.
And Louie C.K. does the same.
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing that makes it funny is they have this ability to pull these faces and have these characters which have another point of view. So it's not just them on stage, they're like playing multiple characters. And they use that to their advantage as well. So it makes you feel as if you're on the roller coaster ride with them.
Yeah.
Like in their head, they're thinking of this, snowflake type person.
That's it.
Therefore, I'm going to play it so you can experience how I hear it and how dumb it sounds. I think that's the other thing that I recognise for that. But it's just there's no punchline. It doesn't feel like there's a punchline.
Yeah.
I think in the last bits, there's usually like either a callback or some sort of generic way of finishing a show. But apart from that, it seems very fluid and like you're not being forced. You just kind of being gently pulled along.
Yeah, that's the crafting. That's the beauty of it. And people say, some people have said before, like Ross Noble, who's a very kind of absurdist. Noel Fielding as well. He's very absurdist. They just make it all up as they go along. They really don't. It's crafted like that. That's the beauty. It's an art form. There is no successful comedian that just wakes up, goes on stage and
makes it up.
Just makes up. It just isn't. That isn't there. They do this.
There are numbers that are funnier than other. I've spoken to, who was I speaking to about this? Possibly Adam Bloom, because it's his kind of. So Adam Bloom is known for deconstructing comedy and really getting into like the nitty gritty. When you start talking about comedy with Adam, it's like, there's a reason for that, and there are the numbers which are funnier than other numbers.
Yeah.
And there are words that are just funnier. So if you go for a fruit, what's a banana is just a funnier fruit than, I don't know, an apple.
Yeah.
It's just, if you just change that one word, it will get a better laugh. It's like, fuck.
Yeah.
When you start speaking to someone like that, it's like, oh my god, this is so cool.
Yeah.
So being able to craft, like when you've got Ross Noble and Noel Fielding like coming up with random stuff, they've chosen those words because some are going to be funnier than others.
Exactly.
They're
gonna. I mean, that's not to say they don't have their. They do a bit of ad-libbing here and there. They maybe change it up a little bit, but they don't know what they're doing before they go on stage. There's nothing random about it.
And it's not even the words; it's how you say them.
Yeah.
What attitude you've got behind them, the inflection on the words, the timing, the pace. It's just there's so much in it.
Yeah.
Even the rhythm, like to go gag, 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 and punchline. It's There's a real kind of skill and magic to it, really.
Absolutely.
So I think that's a nice way to.
Wait, before we did this one, we said let's probably call. Let's just talk about Louie C.K. It'll be quite short. as ever, we've digressed because obviously we were really passionate about
stand-up,
comedy, but we probably should not waste any more time.
Yeah. We've got plenty of keywords to put in the title, so
yeah.
we should get more than 5 views. Woo! But yeah, if you've gone,
I was going to say, highly recommended Louie C.K. If he's
Yep.
coming to a town near you,
Definitely.
you're going to laugh your ass off.
for sure. Chris, if they've got any comments or questions or anything else they want to contact with, how do they get in touch?
Oh, good question, Matthew. They could leave comments in the comments section, which is helpfully provided sort of somewhere
Down below.
Or you can email us at q@stillwondering.com, and that's wondering with an A, not an O. q@stillwondering.com.
Fabulous. Well, we'll see you in the next one.
Oh, ha, ha.
Catch you in a bit.
Bye.